Without me, you're nothing. He said it over the projector's hum and the smell of fresh coffee, not realizing my tiny camera was blinking red from the pen holder. If you're here for a boss romance myth, keep scrolling. This is a forbidden office power dynamic with receipts. I'm 25, a marketing assistant in Los Angeles, living in a studio off Sunset and juggling rent with student loans. I build pitch decks, wrangle calendars, and make sure our CEO never misses a flight or a photo op vulnerability. Money, of course, and the quiet fear that if I speak up, I'm replaced by mourning. I'm competent, fast, and invisible on purpose. And that's when I realized NNTHE first red flags came disguised as praise. You're the only one I can trust. Stay late, it's for your growth. He'd stand at my desk under cold LED lights, citrus cologne faint in the AC. He liked how my assistant sounded. And every week, the my got heavier. He'd tap the glass wall with a knuckle to call me in, like ringing a bell. It only got worse from there. And I rely on small rituals because rituals feel safe. Espresso at 9:10. Inbox triage. Headphones when the sales team gets loud. My coffee cup doubles as an exit strategy. My keycard chirps at every door like a metronome, trying to keep me calm. And tucked beside the stapler is a lipstick-sized camera I bought for content but kept for peace of mind. Be honest, what would you do? NNHE set the hook on a Tuesday. Glossy folder. New opportunity. The projector cast a cool rectangle across the conference table, and the paper smelled like hot toner. Personal assistant, he said, like it was a promotion. $12,000 a month. Travel, discretion. Then the line he loves. This is for your own good. He slid a pen across the table. The scratch of plastic on wood sounded louder than it should, and that's when I felt the ground tilt. Here's the part one didn't expect to admit. The startup salary isn't my only income. I have a creator account that pays better than my day job and keeps me afloat when late invoices hit. It's behind a login tab no one here should ever see. It funds my therapist and the tiny camera and the emergency savings I call get out of town. I keep those worlds separate, but he'd been testing boundaries and I don't play guessing games. I don't label this a CEO affair scandal. I label it what it is. Leverage hunting. NNTHE comments started small. A longer look at my screen. A too familiar, you look nice today from the doorway. When I stepped back, he laughed. You're too sensitive. I logged the phrase and smiled like I believed him. I also started writing per HR policy into emails, which in our industry is the verbal version of putting on armor. And that's when he noticed me noticing, and then I tested back the next week. Left my laptop open with a generic login page visible. Not obvious, just present. He stopped mid-sentence. Eyes flicked to the corner of the screen. No comment. Just a small smile that never reached his eyes. Then, we should discuss your future. The way he hit future told me he'd already written the script in his head. It only got messier from there. And I didn't sign anything. I took the folder home and read every bolded line out loud like I was practicing for court. The NDA clause wasn't about confidentiality, it was about silence. The duties list blurred personal with professional until there was no boundary left to cross. I slept with the contract on my kitchen table because I wanted to wake up hating it. And I did. Be honest. Would you sign? NNHE tried pressure dressed as care. Don't overthink, he said. I'll protect you. He made it sound generous. Like a velvet rope I should be grateful to stand behind. But I've seen what happens to people who take velvet ropes. They choke. And that's when I made a different plan. I started layering protection. All requests in Slack. All meetings on calendar with titles that actually say what they are. I carried my coffee cup into every room, even when it was empty. I set the camera to loop and aimed it at the glass so it could catch reflections. I kept it boring on purpose. A slow paper trail is still a trail. And the night before our final discussion, I tucked the folder back into my tote and stared at the ceiling until the AC clicked off. NNHE thought he had me cornered. I just needed one more piece. He didn't speak the next morning, just watched me from across the open office, tapping his mug like a metronome. The same citrus cologne, same ring-like glow bouncing off his watch. The silence felt curated, like he was waiting for me to make it awkward first. That was the moment I knew he'd seen the login screen. At lunch, he finally said it, all charm and poison. You're really secretive for someone in marketing. He laughed like it was harmless. What kind of side projects are you hiding, huh? I smiled. Just freelance decks. He leaned in, voice lower. You don't have to hide things from me. And then, just to punctuate the performance, he added, You're too paranoid. NNTHE phrase landed cold. I'd heard it before, from people who wanted me compliant. It's the kind of line that rewrites your reality if you let it. So I didn't. I stirred my coffee, tasted bitterness, and smiled. Maybe, I said. But being careful is cheaper than therapy. NNTHAT night, I called Jordan. She's my friend in IT. The kind of person who names her Wi-Fi CIA surveillance van. I told her everything. The contract, the opportunity, the tone shift. She sighed through the speaker. You're playing chess with someone who thinks he invented the board. I told her I needed proof. Proof of what? She asked. Proof that this isn't in my head. NBY Saturday, she had it. Access logs, file histories. He'd been in my drive after hours. Twice. Maybe he's just cleaning up storage, she said, but we both knew that was a lie we didn't owe anyone. I remember pacing my apartment, hearing the hum of my mini fridge and feeling my heartbeat sync with it. He's building something, I said. And I'm already the punchline. Monday morning, he gathered everyone for a team sync. Translation, public theater. 20 of us sat in the conference room. Glass walls gleaming, air thick with burnt espresso. He started with a smirk. We've got some real multitaskers on this team, he said. Laughter bubbled up, polite but uneasy. His eyes landed on me. Our star assistant, for example, always creative. I felt my cheeks burn. Every gaze hit like a pin. He chuckled. Relax. It's a joke. NNTHAT was the moment I knew the game had changed. And I laughed too, because that's what you do when your rent depends on your poker face. But my hands were shaking under the table. After the meeting, I walked out to the hallway where the air smelled like printer toner and anxiety. My phone buzzed. Jordan again. You should see this, she sent a screenshot. A folder titled assistant_offer_v3. Same formatting. Same NDA language. Different name. Someone else. It wasn't about me. It was a pattern. NNTHAT, night I opened the video footage. My tiny camera had caught him pacing my cubicle after hours, flipping through notes, pausing on a sticky that said, "Don't sign anything when you're tired." The irony almost made me laugh. I watched it twice, then emailed myself the file under a boring subject line. Budget revisions Q3 NNTHE. Next day, I tested him. Hey, I said casually. I noticed another contract like mine in the shared drive. His jaw flexed for half a second before he smiled. You're imagining things, he said softly. That folder's restricted. Then, lowering his voice, this is for your own good. NNTHAT phrase again. The same fake warmth, same quiet warning. And I wanted to ask, what happens when your good isn't mine? But instead I nodded, because survival comes before justice. For now, NNTHAT evening, Jordan called. You need a plan. She was right. I didn't want revenge. I wanted control. I wanted a way to end this without becoming the story. We made one. Backup files. Encrypted drive. One-timed upload, set to trigger if my access badge got revoked. Safety net, old school espionage style. NNBY Thursday, his tone had curdled. Slack messages switched from friendly to demanding. We need to finalize that contract. Then, you're making this harder than it needs to be. And finally, the last line before the storm. Without me, you'll fade. I screenshotted it and whispered to the empty office. We'll see who fades first. Friday morning, the air in the office felt wrong. Too still, too expectant. He arrived earlier than usual. Navy blazer, fake calm. I could smell his cologne before I saw him. Sharp, citrus, and arrogance. The hum of the AC was the only sound between us as he leaned on my desk. We need to talk, he said. I kept typing. NNHE lowered his voice. I want you to sign the contract today. I looked up. And if I don't, NNHE smiled. Slow, patient, dangerous. You won't like the alternative. NNTHAT was the moment I knew the conversation wasn't about work anymore. NNTHE projector on the far wall was still on from a meeting, casting pale light across his face. His reflection flickered on the glass. Confident, untouchable. Mine looked tired but steady. The coffee in my cup was cold. I glanced at the little red dot on the pen holder. Still recording NN. You think you can play games with me? He asked, still smiling. I shrugged. Depends on the rules. He didn't like that. His jaw tightened. Be careful, he said. People talk. I let him talk. I wanted him to. After he left, I texted Jordan. I think today's the day. She replied instantly. Got everything backed up. You okay? I wasn't, but I didn't say that. Instead, almost done collecting pieces. At noon, during the team stand-up, he made another joke. Some people here have secret talents, he said. Eyes on me. Laughter again, forced and quick. My heart was pounding so hard I thought the mic might pick it up. Then I saw it. His laptop screen reflected in the conference glass. A file open, name barely visible. Assistant2_NDA_final. NNTHAT was it. The final piece. After the meeting, I walked straight to Jordan's desk. He's duplicating contracts, I whispered. She opened the file logs. You're right. He's done this 3 times. 3 women. Same document. Same promises. Same threats. I felt sick. I spent that evening at my kitchen table. City lights bleeding through half-closed blinds. My laptop hummed. My camera file loaded. His voice echoed through the speakers. You won't like the alternative. I watched him lean on my desk again and again, every frame confirming what I already knew. I had everything. Proof of his pattern, his tone, his lies. NNBUT proof is nothing without timing. NNSO. I waited. And Monday was our all-hands meeting, the one he always loved because it was his stage. He'd brag, improvise, throw jokes, play benevolent boss. I decided that would be the day. Jordan helped me prep the files. 1 short clip, redacted names, a timestamp. I queued it up on the shared drive, renamed it something harmless. quarterly_motivation.mp4. And I barely slept that night. My phone buzzed with unread Slack messages, all from him. We need to talk. You're making a mistake. I can fix this. Then at 12:07 a.m., let's keep this between us. I stared at it for a full minute before replying, sure, tomorrow. NTHE next morning. I got in early. The air smelled like burnt coffee and new toner. My hands shook as I opened the shared presentation folder. I replaced his motivational intro video with mine. My stomach turned. I almost stopped. Almost NNTHE office filled up. Keyboard clicks, low chatter, the buzz of fluorescent lights. He walked in, perfectly calm, unaware that every step brought him closer to the screen that would undo him. NNHE started his usual opener. We've built something special here. He gestured toward the projector. Let's celebrate that. He clicked play, and that's when the audio started. NNHI's own voice filled the room. Without me, you're nothing. NNTHE silence that followed was surgical. His smile froze. My pulse didn't. NNTHAT was the moment I knew he realized it was over. The sound of his own voice hung in the air like static. For 3 full seconds, no one breathed. Then came the video, the reflection of him leaning over my desk, his words clear enough to make the interns look at each other in disbelief. And I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. NNHE froze, hands still on the clicker, color draining from his face. That's out of context, he said, laughing too loudly. The kind of laugh that dies halfway through. No one joined him. You could hear the AC kick on again, a long, low hum that felt like a verdict. Someone from HR stood up, slow and deliberate. Can we pause the meeting? NNHE tried to regain control. It's a misunderstanding. This is a setup. NNBUT, it wasn't. The clip looped once, the same phrase echoing through the glass walls. Without me, you're nothing. Then silence again. Jordan looked at me from across the room, her eyes wide. She mouthed, "It's done." And I felt my heart beating against my ribs like it wanted out. NNHE turned to me. You think this proves anything? His voice cracked. You'll regret this. There it was. The last toxic phrase in his greatest hits album, and I stood up. My hands weren't shaking anymore. No, I said. I think it proves enough. And that was it. No yelling, no dramatic exit, just HR asking him to step into a private conversation, and the sound of his keycard beeping one last time before access was revoked. He tried to smile on his way out, that fake PR smile he used in interviews. But the office stayed quiet. No one looked at him. NNTHAT was the moment I knew I had my life back. Still, adrenaline doesn't care about justice. My hands were trembling when I got back to my desk. Slack was lighting up. WTF just happened? Is that video real? Holy yes, asterisk, she's a legend. I muted every notification and stared at my reflection in the dark screen. I didn't feel like a legend. I felt like someone who had just detonated her career. An hour later, HR called me in. Small room. Stale air. Scent of lemon wipes and caution. The HR representative spoke softly, like she was reading from a hostage note. We're conducting an internal review. I nodded. I figured. She adjusted her glasses. Did you record that intentionally? I met her eyes. Would you believe me if I said no? NNSHE didn't answer. When I left the room, Jordan was waiting by the elevators. You okay? She whispered. I laughed once. Define okay. NNTHAT night. I went home and opened TikTok. My feed was chaos. Corporate gossip accounts speculating about a viral LA startup scandal. Somehow, someone had leaked the audio. My heart sank for half a second, then steadied. I didn't post it, but the internet had already decided whose side it was on. Comments ranged from queen behavior to whistleblower energy, and I didn't respond. I didn't need to. NNTHE next morning. His LinkedIn went dark. The company issued a, quote, leadership transition statement. HR sent an email reminding everyone about appropriate workplace boundaries. And my badge still worked. For now, NNBY, the end of the week, recruiters started reaching out. Not for jobs, for interviews, podcasts, anonymous op-eds. Would you like to tell your story? I declined every single one. This wasn't a brand campaign. It was survival. On Friday, Jordan dropped a USB drive on my desk. For when they lose the evidence, she said. I smiled. You really think they'll try? She shrugged. Always have a backup. You taught me that. NNTHAT was the first time I actually laughed, really laughed, in weeks. And then, as I packed up for the day, I noticed the old coffee cup on my desk. The same one that had been there through every late night and every fake compliment. I picked it up cold and empty and threw it in the trash. NNC closure doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it's just silence that finally feels clean. The Monday after everything exploded, the office felt like a hotel lobby after checkout. Quiet, half empty, smelling of disinfectant and gossip. His desk was cleared out, nameplate gone. The same chair he used to lean back in was pushed perfectly under the table, like he'd never been there. You'd think I'd feel triumphant. I didn't. I felt still. People whispered, of course. She recorded him. She planned it. She's the reason he's gone. They said it like I'd pulled a fire alarm for fun. I wanted to tell them, you have no idea how long I smelled the smoke before anyone saw the flames. I started keeping my headphones in, even when I wasn't listening to anything. The sound of quiet breathing and cautious typing around me felt almost peaceful. HR had temporarily restructured my position, which was corporate speak for, we don't know what to do with you yet. I didn't mind. For the first time, nobody was calling me his assistant. NNTHAT was the moment I realized I'd already won. And a week later, I met Jordan at our usual cafe, Blue Bottle, the one on Spring Street where the baristas know her by her laptop stickers. She slid into the seat across from me, cappuccino in hand. They're settling, she said. No lawsuit, no arbitration, just gone. And I stared at the foam on my drink. So that's it? Pretty much. They'll pay him off quietly, move on, pretend you don't exist. She smirked. You're welcome. I laughed, but it came out tired. I didn't want to destroy him. I just wanted it to stop. NSHE looked at me for a long second. That's the part they'll never understand. You didn't start a war. You just stopped playing by his rules. NNTHAT line stuck with me. NNTWO months passed. HR sent a closure statement. The new management team scheduled rebuilding trust workshops. The irony nearly killed me. I showed up anyway, because that's what professionals do. A woman from corporate training stood in front of us and said, "Every workplace needs transparency and courage." I almost laughed. NNBY then. My story had found its way online in a dozen versions, some calling me a whistleblower, some painting me as a troublemaker. None of them were true. The real story was quieter. A camera, a folder, a woman who refused to sign silence. And still, it followed me. Recruiters loved the drama, but not the risk. One interviewer even said, "We just want to make sure you're not litigious." I smiled, said, "Of course," and closed my laptop before she finished the sentence. That was the moment I decided I was done asking for permission. NNSO. I built something else, and I started consulting, helping other creators and assistants protect their data, document their boundaries, understand their contracts. I made short, calm videos about digital safety for women in the workplace. They got more traction than I expected. Not viral, but steady. One night, I got a DM from someone who'd seen one of my clips. "I watched your video before signing a contract that felt wrong," she wrote. I walked away, thank you. I sat there staring at the screen, tears welling up before I could stop them. For the first time since that day in the conference room, I felt something like peace, and I don't check his name online anymore. The company quietly replaced him with another visionary leader. Same jargon, new face. The cycle continues. But now, I know how to spot the pattern before it starts. Last week, I opened the drawer in my apartment where I used to keep the lipstick camera. It still works, light blinking red when I plug it in. I thought about throwing it away, then decided to keep it. Not as a weapon, as a reminder. NNTHE coffee cup is gone. The contract's ashes are somewhere in a landfill, but the camera stays. Proof that silence isn't my default anymore. Sometimes, justice isn't loud. It's the quiet confidence that you can walk into any room, hear someone say, "Without me, you're nothing," and know beyond doubt that they're wrong. NNSO. Here's my question for you. NNIF. Someone handed you $12,000 a month and told you it was for your own good. Would you sign the contract or keep your camera rolling?